The academy courtyard was alive with movement. Cadets in crisp uniforms marching in formation, drill sergeants barking orders, the morning sun casting sharp shadows across polished boots. But in the center of it all, a stillness cut through the noise. A woman sat in a wheelchair near the fountain, her posture perfect, her eyes scanning the cadets with quiet intensity. Some whispered, others laughed. A few nudged their friends, pointing. Who let her in here? They didn't know. They couldn't have known. And that ignorance would cost them everything. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Commander Elena Vasquez, though no one here had bothered to ask. To them, she was just a woman in a wheelchair, out of place in a world built on strength and endurance. She'd arrived early that morning, unannounced, observing the Academy's operations as part of a routine inspection. But routine was a word that never fit her. Elena had spent 23 years in the Naval Fleet, rising through ranks most could only dream of, commanding fleets across 3 oceans, making decisions that saved thousands of lives. And now, she sat here, watching young cadets mock what they did not understand. One cadet, a tall man with a smirk that seemed permanent, walked past her and muttered just loud enough for his friends to hear. "Guess they'll let anyone in these days." Laughter followed. Elena didn't flinch. She'd heard worse. She'd survived worse. Her fingers rested calmly on the armrest of her chair, but her mind was calculating, measuring, waiting. The assembly bell rang, sharp and commanding. The cadets formed ranks in the center courtyard, standing at attention. The commandant, a stern man with silver hair and a chest full of medals, stepped onto the platform. His voice boomed across the space. "Today, you will meet someone whose career you should study, whose sacrifices you should honor, and whose presence here is a privilege you do not deserve." Silence fell like a curtain. Elena wheeled herself forward, slowly, deliberately. The sound of her wheels against the stone was the only noise. Cadets turned. Confusion rippled through the crowd. The tall cadet from earlier felt his stomach tighten. Something was wrong. Something had shifted. The commandant's voice softened, but it carried weight. "This is Fleet Admiral Elena Vasquez, 3-star Admiral, commanding officer of the Pacific Northern Fleet, recipient of the Navy Cross for valor under fire." He paused, letting the titles sink in. "And the woman some of you saw fit to mock this morning." The color drained from faces. Spines straightened, eyes dropped. The tall cadet felt his throat close. He wanted to disappear, to rewind the last hour, to take back the words he'd thrown so carelessly into the air. But words, once spoken, cannot be unspoken. And Elena had heard them all. She looked across the rows of young faces, many now red with shame, others pale with fear. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "Strength," she began, "is not measured by the legs you stand on. It's measured by the storms you've weathered, the people you've protected, and the grace you show when the world tries to break you." Her eyes found the tall cadet. He couldn't look away. "I lost the use of my legs saving a crew of 37 sailors when our ship was struck by enemy fire. I stayed on the bridge, I gave the orders, and I made sure every single one of them got home." The courtyard was still. Not a breath, not a whisper, only her voice, steady and unshakable. "You will face battles in your careers," she continued. "Some of them will be at sea. Some of them will be in your own minds. But if you enter those battles believing that strength is only physical, you will lose. Every time." The commandant stepped aside. Elena wheeled closer to the cadets, her gaze sweeping over them like a searchlight. And then, slowly, something extraordinary happened. One cadet stepped forward and saluted. Then another. Then a dozen. Then all of them. Sharp, synchronized, respectful. The tall cadet's hand trembled as he raised it. Tears blurred his vision, but he didn't wipe them away. Elena returned the salute. Not with bitterness, not with triumph, with the quiet dignity of someone who had already proven everything she needed to prove. Because strength doesn't announce itself, it simply endures, long after the noise fades. And in that courtyard, under the morning sun, the cadets learned what a real leader looked like. If this story moved you, drop a comment and let me know. And subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be told.